Welcome back. Standard Bank has invested $10 million in the African Women Impact Fund, a groundbreaking initiative tackling Africa's $42 billion gender funding gap. At the G20 Empowerment of Women Working Group Women to Africa Summit, I caught up with Lindeka Dzedze, Standard Bank's Executive Head of Strategic Partnerships for Global Markets and Chair of the African Women Impact Fund, to dive deeper into the initiative's mission. Let's take a look.
The African Women Impact Fund is actually an initiative of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, together with its partners, the AU, the UN Women, the AULIN network, which is a network of all the current and former female presidents. And really what its intent was to actually build a sustainable platform to grow the number of women-owned and women-led African fund managers. So this is huge for us, because the challenge is when it comes to pension funds, typically they invest within their own countries. So mandates are a bit restrictive. So this fund is actually created to invest across Pan-Africa, which speaks to our own local realities, because we're 54 countries. What we're excited about is the first of its kind. This is not just South Africa, it's not just Kenya, it is really Pan-Africa. So we're very excited. And often when we're going out to fundraise, investors will be asking us, tell us who has invested in your fund, why your own have not invested. So this is a bold move. We're asking today for bold and courageous initiatives from the founders, from the private sector. This is a bold move of Standard Bank. We're putting our money where our mouth is. So we're not just talking, we are actually doing. On top of that, we actually have the foundation. So the $24 million rands is actually grants that we're actually providing to women managers. So far we funded 10. And those have gone towards working capital, ESG tools that they need. And I cannot mention that money without mentioning the fact that we first received funding, $500,000 from the government of Rwanda, from South Africa, from Visa, from Standard Bank. So a whole lot of companies are coming together, which is what we're talking about here. How do we collectively come together to build resilient and sustainable, successful women-owned and women-led businesses? We're very excited today.
It's actually interesting because, this goes to African women fund managers, the actual capital allocated.
Yes.
Talk to us about the gaps that exist there and really just the runway then we have in terms of that, so that we have more women allocated to actually, direct the money to where it needs to go.
I think we need to change the face of that, because we're all saying the same thing here. Financial inclusion is not charity. What we're doing here is growing new revenue, new pools of revenue, driving growth and impact in the communities where we live, where we operate. It's not just, it's a sustainable business strategy. And what is important for us is that you see, in fact, if you look at the numbers have gone down in terms of the money that goes to women managers. If you look at venture capital, if you look at private equity, more money is not flowing to women managers. And this is not a challenge that actually can be done or solutioned by private sector alone, by Standard Bank alone. We really need to speak and work with everybody. This has been, I can quote numbers for days, we know them. My focus is the what needs to be done and how. We all know the data is all there. It's how we're going to drive the change we want to see here.
The Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities actually highlighting something very important. Spoke about financing differently. Talk to me about, Standard Bank's agenda behind that in terms of financing differently, so that we do actually get an architecture of the economy be women-led.
So one of the things we're talking about is you're going to see in the panel that's going to come through, which I don't want to miss. We talk about the challenges that persist, the structural barriers that persist, despite all the advocacy, despite all the policies. So what we're looking at, it is what are those structural barriers? Is it maybe we needed to redesign certain products? Do we have gender silent KPIs where money that is being raised, that is meant to, that speaks to all social bonds, but it doesn't actually end up flowing to women? And oftentimes, you also need women there. If you and I walk in the room representation matters, you will see if you are the only woman. So even the people behind that, the funders, the allocators, the trustees, they have a fiduciary duty to actually make sure that the gender KPI is not silent. Because if it's not measured, if it's not tracked, it's not reported on, then how do we know? And you also need standardized tracking so that we can all look at the same things and compare apples to apples.
And obviously, we're talking about, what we aim to achieve under the agenda of the G20. So exactly what is Standard Bank's vision in terms of what we aim to achieve after G20, especially crafting an economy where women empowerment is at the whole?
So I keep saying to people that the G20 is but a platform. We can make all the declarations. It is the translation of those declarations into action that will transform not only our country but the continent. So this today, as the minister and the DG said, it's not a high tea. We have already done preparatory work. We've engaged with Gibbs on thought leadership that they're going to produce post today. We are already looking to partner with pension funds, professional bodies, corporates, and other women groups, the We Corners, the We20s, the G20 Empower. We're all fighting for the same thing. So the intent past this is to get into a room and work together and really look at the value chains and also say who is doing what where and how do we work together so that we're not emphasizing or doing the most where women actually are not crying and where they need us the most, especially when it comes to financing and funding and access to markets. That's what we need to do more. So that's the work that's going to happen post this.
That was Lindeka Dzedze, Head of Strategic Partnerships for Global Markets at Standard Bank and Chair of the African Women Impact Fund.